Hi, it's Tracy from Two Rocks Tarot with this week's Learn Lenormand with me, and today we'll be looking at the ship card. So with the ship card, common meanings associated with this card is a gain or inheritance is one of the messages of the ship. Anything related to travel, distance, the sea, movement, foreign countries, and it can relate to your car. If you find it near business type of cards such as the fish, garden or lily, or whatever card that you associate with work or career, it is seen as an improvement in your affairs. So it is a positive card in itself, but if it came next to the clouds or whip, it can indicate car troubles or a trip being cancelled if the scythe turns up, for instance, next to it. Also with the scythe turning up next to it can mean a sudden trip as well. So it can mean trips are cancelled, but it can also mean a sudden trip where you have to leave a lot earlier than you thought. Also, the ship can be a trip where the person may not return from. So they could move overseas or interstate and decide to stay there. So once again, when it comes to Lenormand cards, you need to decide what it will mean for you when they turn up in certain combinations and stick to it. Timing for this card is a fairly long time, but I should say that you can always look to the actual numbers on these cards to see if they can give yourself any indication as well. So the ship card is number 3, so it could be 3 years, 3 months. It wouldn't be 3 weeks or 3 days because this card always has a fairly long time associated with it, but the numbers on the cards can again provide some clues as well to it. So you'll notice too that I've actually put a tarot card that is associated with the ship, and that's the 6 of Swords. This type of energy of this particular card really marries it well when it comes to the ship as well, because sometimes if we do decide to move away from somewhere where we live and not return, is because of some difficulty that we've been going through or we've overcome, and we decide for a fresh start. So the 6 of Swords and the ship in Lenormand have got pretty much very, very similar meanings. So for me, when I get, personally for some combos of my own, so when I get the ship and cross combo together, I usually get a message from Spirit, and it is often when I will go ahead and shoot a Spirit message video when I get these two together. And I don't say if it just happens like once in the week, but when it will happen quite a few times in readings, this combo keeps on turning up. So that's a message for me that I need to do a Spirit message reading, or I'm going to get a personal Spirit message for myself. When I get it with the book, a parcel, funny enough, usually arrives in the mail. So often a tarot deck. So if I'm waiting for a tarot deck and I get the book and the ship together, it means that a parcel is going to arrive on that day. It's just a little quirk that I found with this particular one. Now, as to appearance, ship people are often very exotic looking, with or without an accent, either a first or second generation immigrant with family abroad. They are often in sales and can literally be in the Navy or fishermen. They can be very slick looking and picky with their appearance, unless of course they're the typical Australian fishermen, Australian male fishermen I should say. Then it's board shorts with a singlet and thongs with a few beers thrown in, and who loves a good laugh. So even though they are like exotic looking and as a career type of thing, often they're salesmen as well, and sales reps have that kind of sleazy reputation. Which my husband will hate because he was a sales rep for many, many years. But, I know myself, when I used to work in sales and I used to have a sales rep come in, I used to think, oh, God, what do they want type of thing. So they're not really thought highly of. But, they've got that, if you're just looking on appearance alone, because the ship is very much associated with overseas, it's usually is, they've got that, olive skin, dark eyes, exotic type sort of appearance as well. So now we're going to have a look at the particular the card. So once again, we've got Ciro Machetes, we've got the ship from my deck, the Australiana Lenormand, Titania's Fortune cards, and the Album Lenormand. So if you're looking at timing, I'd say with the Tanya's Fortune, it looks like sunset, doesn't it? So it looks like the sun is setting. So I would say around sunset time. With mine, it would be midday, because that is actually taken on the Sydney Harbour Bridge. And the reason I chose that image was when I was 9 years old, my parents and I, we went on a camping trip to Sydney, and we ended up staying nearly 3 weeks because it was so hot that my dad actually rang up the boss and said he was going to take a longer time, because it was just too hot to travel, because we always used to travel with our dogs as well. So it was a lot of fond memories for me. And we used to go on my mum absolutely loves going on the boat, so we used to go so many times on the Sydney Harbour, which I actually got sick of in the end. But she loved it, so that's why I chose that image. But that too would be lunchtime, and I would say the same with Ciro Machetes, would be in the afternoon, probably more towards the later afternoon, maybe 2 or 3, whereas mine's midday. If you're looking at Alexandre Musrux, because it is like a creamy, it almost looks foggy, doesn't it? So it could be very, very early in the morning when there's a lot of fog about, or it could be right towards the evening. So really, with that particular card, I would say it could be any time of the day. But if you're really trying to pinpoint, very early in the morning where there's lots of sort of mist and fog about, or if you live in an area where the mist and fog comes on the night time. For here in Australia, it's mainly in the mornings it comes. Sometimes it'll come at night, but not that often. Although, mind you, when I lived in South Australia, it used to be at night time. So yeah, it'd be either very early in the morning or it'd be at the night time as well. So that's the kind of timing that you're looking at. And as again, you can always look to the number of the cards itself, but just remember that the ship does have a timing of being a fairly long time. So now we're going to pull a tarot card asking how the energy of the ship card is affecting us today. And did I bring a tarot deck with me? I didn't. Well, I'll just use, actually I've just got this little one. Let's just use this particular card, this deck. So this is my Hanson Roberts, of which I have trimmed because it's really, really old, trimmed and edged. So we'll pull about, so how is the ship card energy affecting us today? Let's have a look. Alright, so one come up, oops, and it popped right back in. Well, I wonder if I should take, no, I think I'll just shuffle again. Usually they don't disappear like that. So how is the energy of the ship card affecting us today? I tell you what, I've got lots of, this one popped right up, but I might actually take this one as well. Oh, okay. So the two cards, the first card that come up was actually, it's actually that way around. It was actually, oh my God, I'll never get these. It was actually Temperance. Now, can you see that? I might have to twist that. So Temperance was the first card, and then the Queen of Cups. So how is the ship energy affecting us today? So it looks like for today we need to find some balance in our emotions, because this Queen of Cups to me is very melancholy, looks kind of depressed. So I feel like how the energy of the ship is affecting us today is that we need to balance our emotions in some way. We need to look deep inside of us to see why literally we are feeling unbalanced. So this is how the energy of the ship is affecting some of us today. I feel really good today, actually. I've had such a long bout of depression, but I actually feel quite well. So for me, I've looked into what has been bugging me, and I've found a way to balance it again, to balance my emotion. But for others of you, this is how the energy is affecting us. So that's interesting, isn't it? So it's, and when you look at it, I mean, you know, they're both cards have got a lot of water in it, a lot of sea water as well. And my card is right on the sea, is you know, Sydney Harbour. So that's quite interesting that this is the energy of the card, you know, how it's sort of affecting us today. So usually I do a for the message of the who, what, where and when as well with the ship. So let's try that. I wonder if I should, I was going to say, I wonder if I should try it with the tarot cards for a change instead of using Lenormand. Yeah, I might do that for a change. So let's have a look. All right. So, all right. Ooh, oh, okay. This really wants to work. So we got the who. Surprise. We got the Ace of Cups as the who for the ship. All right. And now it's got what. These are really jumpy today. Okay. What shot right out as well. The what's is the Knight of Swords. the Where, the Two of Rods, or Wands, Two of Rods they call them in this deck. And then the one is When. Let's have a look at When. I just feel like using these cards today. I've had these for over 20 years. That's why I had to trim them, because they look really yellow and horrible. Okay, and here's the When. And then when we've got the Queen of Rods there. I still love this deck. I've got a good bond with this particular deck. So this is interesting. So the message of the day is the Who, is the Ace of Cups. So obviously our emotions, because we did try this with how the energy is affecting us. We need to get our emotions in balance. And of course the Ace of Cups can be an overflowing. Maybe we have been emotionally overloaded. You know, our emotions are literally overflowing within us. It's really, really, we've got no control of them. They just constantly seem to be on the go. All right. The What? Knight of Swords. Now this can be somebody. It could be something that you've heard that has caused you to have an emotional overload. Now the Knight of Swords can often, along with the Page of Swords, if you get them two together, it's usually gossip. Okay. So I'm feeling that there's somebody there. Because this particular Knight of Swords, if you look at it, is quite defensive. It's quite like in your face. So I feel like that somebody has literally come in your face and go rah, at you. And that is exactly what, you know. So we've got the Who is your emotional overload. The What is caused by this particular Knight. The Where, it looks like that it was, look, it's going to sound funny, but I think somewhere you might have been outside. Okay, you've been trying to decide between two different directions, and I'm really attracted to the actual earth that he's holding in his hand. So I feel like there's a third option that you've been holding on to, not wanting to let go and move forward. And the Where is, that's exactly right. You're not really sure where you should go. Okay, and then we've got the When, and we've got the Queen of Wands. So as the When, as the Queen is, when you're going to do it is once you feel in control again. Once you get your emotions in control, that's when you'll be able to do it. That's when you'll be able to make a clear, concise decision on what it is that you want to do and move forward from. And yeah, and that's it. Because, you know, don't forget the first two cards was how the energy is affecting us. Again, was the very, you know, the Queen of Cups and Temperance. We needed to get our emotions under control. So there you go. So that's how you, you know, looking at Lenormand through the eyes of tarot. But you know, these two decks just work so well together. So if I did decide to, so let's do it. I've got plenty of time. We're only 12 minutes in. We'll do it again, and this time we'll use the Who, What, Where, and Why with the actual Lenormand deck. I just really wanted to try it with the tarot cards. So, all right, let's go for the Who. So don't forget, this is about the ship. All right, the Who. So the Who has come up with the Garden. What? The ship, believe it or not, came up. Okay, because I mean usually this is a side. So because usually this card is set aside, so you put these other cards around it like a dice. But because the ship has come up, I'm going to leave it because I forgot that I shuffled back in. All right then, so let's try the Where. Got the Scythe. Interesting, don't forget we got the Knight of Swords. If I hadn't had left the ship card in there, the Scythe would have been the next card. All right, and now we've got the When. And then we've got the Tree. So if you're looking at the Who and you're looking at the Garden, the Who, now what was the first one in the Who was the Ace of Cups. So the Garden, if your emotions are overflowing and it was the Ace of Cups, it's because it's probably someone in your social circle that's making you feel like that, okay? We've got the What. Now, because it is the ship, it's probably someone who is does come from another country or interstate, or someone who is foreign, okay? And then we've got the Where, is the Scythe. So it's some type of change that has happened rather suddenly, okay? Now, if this is reflecting on a person, this, you know, if somebody has caused an emotional overload, you might have known them for quite a while, but they've had a very sudden change about them, and not for the better either. So something about them's changed, and that's why they've attacked you. All right, And then we've got the when, and again, you know, we've got the, you know, the tree. It's when you're feeling grounded. It's basically like the last card with the Queen of Wands, being in control of your emotions again. And of course, the tree is when you feel firmly rooted and grounded, and you can branch out and make the decisions and changes in your life. So this is how the ship. So if I was going to let's pull another card for what, just because the ship was, I forgot that I shuffled it back in. So I got and yet, you know, what's come up is the clover. You know, the clover. So luck is on your side. You know, when you look at the what, you will get some type of luck. So, oh, it's just started to pour with rain. It's quite cold today, actually. So there you go. That's how to have fun with with tarot and Lenormand together. It's really quite interesting to see what messages the cards are going to bring up. Whether you're using the tarot with it, you know, to answer Lenormand, or using Lenormand to answer the tarot. You can marry them up really, really well, and try different tarot decks. Don't just stick to the reason I've been using the Hanson Roberts and, you know, the Rider-Waite images more is because they're just a basic sort of a tarot deck that you start with. You know, a lot of people start with them ones. I mean, nowadays you've got hundreds of millions of different cards you could choose from, but I thought I would start with something that everybody recognises. So until next time, this is Tracy.